Biology, Chapter 12, Theory Video 8, Part 2 of 2. Theoretically, three molecules of AT can be produced from each molecule of reduced NAD, and two molecules of AT from each molecule of reduced FAD. So, from NAD, from one NAD, you can produce three ATPs, and from one FAD, you can produce two ATPs. However, this yield cannot be achieved unless ADP and phosphate are available inside the mitochondrion. So that means the ADP and phosphate has to be already there inside. About 25% of the total energy yield of electron transfer is used to transport ADP into the mitochondrion and ATP into the cytoplasm. So that means ADP is there outside of the mitochondrion. That has to be transported in. And that transportation would require about 25% of the total energy yield, and also to transport the ATP back into the cytoplasm. Hence, each reduced NAD molecule entering the chain produces on average 2.5 molecules of ATP, and each reduced FAD produces 1.5 molecules of ATP. So this is an average, yeah. But theoretically, each each NAD would produce 3 ATPs, and each FAD would produce 2 ATPs. The number of ATP molecules actually produced varies in different tissues and different circumstances, largely dependent on how much energy is used to move substances into and out of the mitochondria. Right? So, in a basic sense, what you need to understand is the theoretical value, and because of different circumstances, different tissues, the amount of average amount of ATP that can be produced by each FAD and NAD would reduce. So those two are the things that you need to understand. Let's write a note out of what we learned. Write down oxidative phosphorylation and the electron transport chain. Write down the final stage of aerobic respiration oxidative phosphorylation takes place converting ADP to ATP using the energy gained from the electron transport chain. Oxidative phosphorylation takes place in the inner mitochondrial membrane. And I suggest that you write down, draw this figure 12.10 so that you can remember. It is quite important that you draw that. So please pause the video and then draw it. I hope you have drawn the video. Let's continue the note. Reduce NAD and reduce FAD enter the electron transport chain. Where hydrogen is separated from it and NAD and FAD are released back. Hydrogen is released and NAD and FAD are released back. Next point, hydrogen will split into the H plus ion within brackets proton and electron, and this electron level to the same thing, right? And this electron is transferred through a series of electron carriers. Next point, most of the carriers are associated with membrane proteins. Within brackets, right, there are 4 types of membrane proteins. Leave a line and write. A functional unit called a respiratory complex made up of each of these proteins create a pathway for the electron to transfer down an energy gradient. When the electron is passed from high energy carrier to low energy carrier, energy is released. Next point. Some of this energy is used to transport the protons into the space between inner and outer membranes of the mitochondrial envelope. Into the space between the inner and outer membranes of the mitochondrial envelope. A build-up of, next point, a build-up of protons in the intermembrane space in comparison to mitochondrial matrix results in potential difference next point, due to this potential difference, protons in the intermembrane space move back into the matrix through protein channels in the inner membrane. When they diffuse, they pass through ATP synthase and ATP synthase will result in chemiosmosis to take place. Chemiosmosis to take place. In this stage, ATP is produced. In the mitochondrial matrix, an electron and a proton are transferred to oxygen, producing water. Next point, the highest yield of ATP is obtained during oxidative phosphorylation. Please draw table 12.1, pause the video and draw table 12.1. I hope you have done it. Then continue writing. Theoretically, comma, one NAD, leave a line and write 1 NAD, number 1 NAD, capital NAD, arrow, put an arrow, gives 3 molecules of ATP. Next line, 1 FAD, arrow, 2 molecules of ATP. Next point, however, about 25% of the total energy yield of electron transfer is used to transport ADP into mitochondrion and ATP into the cytoplasm. Therefore, on average, only 2.5 molecules of ATP would be produced by NAD, and FAD would produce only 1.5 molecules of ATP. Right. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, please raise them.